Hey guys, sorry about that.
Hi,
Hi, how are you guys doing?
good. How are you?
Doing well.
Are you Madison?
No, I'm Fiona. So
Okay.
usually Madison has been the host, but she graciously allowed me to give it a shot this time. Let me just make sure you guys are able to screen share. Are you guys seeing the option to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll share mine to start, and then for each presenter, we can hand it over.
I'm using Canva and I've done this before, but I just want to make sure that this is going to work. Can I just test it real
Yeah,
fast?
yeah, of
Okay,
course. Go ahead.
okay, cool. Um,
Hey Fiona.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, is that right?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
What are you looking at? Are you looking at Canva or are you looking at the presentation?
Right now it's like your whole browser.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Okay, now, oh wait. Yeah, still your browser.
Okay, so do you see it's still the browser?
Yeah, I see the presentation, but I can also see your like tabs. Okay, now I can't.
Yeah, it's just that I only have one monitor. It's just really, really wide.
If you want it, or if you're able to share it, I could present it on my screen so that way you're able to see your notes or anything you might need.
It's just unfortunate. Okay, I'll just try to share it with you then. The
Okay.
Canva doc. And where am I sending this? Should I just,
You could send it on the email thread, or I don't know if you can like privately message in the Zoom. Hey Rachel, yeah, as long as you're good to share your screen with your presentation, should be all good to go. We'll,
I'm also on
we'll-
mute. Okay.
yeah, I think we'll just wait until 5 more minutes.
Can you see and hear me? Just
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Fiona, one thing, did you already go over the speaker order?
Oh no, not yet. Yeah, so right now I have it as let's see. Rachel, then Anna, then Bianca, then Mayowa, and then Alexandria.
Oh wow, that's cool. I didn't know there were so many speakers. I hope I emailed all of you. Or did you email them, Fiona?
No, I saw Mayowa's email. I didn't realize she had signed up. So I just added her, and then it looks like Alexandria had also signed up today, I think.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So I just added them.
That's cool. I forgot to check for any last minute signups. That's funny. It's a good thing you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then I see that Rachel and Anna are here. Doesn't look like the other three are here yet.
It looks like May is trying to join on audio.
Okay, cool. Hey May, just want to test, is your audio working?
Hi.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just wanted to make sure we could hear you.
So Fiona, I'm gonna sort of be a ghost in the background. I'll just be in the chat and stuff. So let me know if you need anything.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess we can give it like maybe a couple more minutes.
Oh yeah, we could usually 2:01 is usually a
Okay,
good starting point. Yeah.
3:01 for me, I guess.
Oh right, yeah, I forgot time zones. 3:01 for you, 2 for me, and noon for everyone else.
Yeah. Okay, just checking. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah, well, I think we can get started here. Welcome to the Women in GIS February Lightning Talks, brought to you by the Professional Development Committee. Just some background, Women in GIS is an international organization. We're an inclusive group of women and allies coming together to provide resources and opportunities for success as you navigate your geospatial career. And everyone is welcome here. We're big on networking, so feel free to drop your LinkedIn or any other links in the chat. And I'm Fiona. I'll be your host today. I'm a GIS analyst for a battery storage company in Virginia and also a member of the Professional Development Committee. And so the lightning talks are the first Friday of every month. Usually a different topic, but this year the topic is always going to be GIS in action. And then thank you to our platinum sponsors, Esri and Bad Elf. And then also our other gold and silver sponsors. Really appreciate their support. And then for our presentations today, so we have Rachel presenting bivariate mapping, Anna presenting So You Want a Map, Bianca presenting on evacuation centers in Metro Manila, May presenting on the effects of urbanization on stream flow and Piedmont streams, and then Alexandria presenting Waterloo, Texas, an urban fantasy web map. And so feel free to drop questions in the chat throughout the presentations. We'll save all of those for a Q&A at the end once everyone has presented. And so yeah, our first presenter, Rachel, is a GISP and GIS professional with a passion for cartography and data storytelling. She earned her master's in geography from SUNY Binghamton University in 2012, specializing in health and demographics GIS. And she's working as a has worked as a GIS analyst in academia and now leads analytics mapping program at the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office. So I'll stop sharing and Rachel, you can take it away.
Thank you so much. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you all see maps? Two maps? Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just couldn't tell which. Okay. So if you see the two maps, just to be clear, if you don't, let me know because it's showing up as screen sharing on the other screen. So, hey everybody, my name is Rachel, and you might see two maps up on the screen. That's because I last minute got asked to do another map. So I thought it was relevant and I want to talk about both of them quickly and kind of put them all hand in hand. But just to recap quickly what was already said, my name is Rachel Passer and I run the analytics mapping program at South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office, or RFA. I'm a human geographer, GIS professional, and cartographer, and I work in state government. So I analyze health and demographics data. RFA is an interesting agency that receives mountains of data from many other state agencies, which allows us to link and enrich health, demographic, and education data from many sources. These data are used for mandating reporting requirements for a state's legislature, but are also available to researchers upon request or subject to approval. Part of my role is to serve as a consultant and provide products, as this part of RFA functions like a research shop. Like we charge $110 an hour. So I work alongside a team of statisticians that mainly use SAS, and they pull and prepare data from the data warehouse for all these different reporting requirements. We also administer many geographic programs and census programs for the state. So with all these programs going on here, it's like, what a place to be a human geographer. So today I'm sharing a couple spatial analytical maps I've made for recent agency presentations. These maps were made to go into slide decks. I'm sharing a bivariate map using census data, and a hospital service area map using network analysis to generate service areas from acute care hospitals. I thought it would be important to share this with you all because I wanted to show you what it's like to build a state government program. I inherited this program when I took the job 2.5 years ago. And since we know Esri products have been transitioning from ArcMap to Pro, many of the workflows I inherited had to be modernized for Pro. So as I've had time and opportunities, I try to create innovative products to aid in developing my program. You know, some oohs and ahs, time permitting. I thought it would be cool to show you some real world applications in state government of professional cartography and spatial analysis techniques. So when it comes to how I approached making these maps, I saw them as value add opportunity to build the program. For my agency, it's an opportunity for me to show decision makers modern approaches to spatial analysis and data visualization. Additionally, it's an opportunity for me to refine methods I've used since grad school. I used to make bivariate maps manually. So when my boss asked me to make a bivariate map recently, I wanted to try the new built-in symbology now present in ArcGIS Pro. And for hospital service areas, until now, I've only been asked to measure drive time as the crow flies using a buffer analysis. In the past, they had requested I take these buffer circles and measure access by summarizing the intersecting census block level population. I proposed a network analyst approach so it's more accurate using road network-based drive time. Also, since these are maps for presentations, I typically polish them up in Adobe Illustrator, which is vector graphic design software. So talking about the real or potential outcomes of these maps that you're looking at, the bivariate map, it shows that South Carolina is getting a lot of out-of-state migration, but the reasons vary. So when you're comparing migration rates to median age by county, a few patterns emerge. High rates of migration to Richland and Sumter counties with lower median ages speak to the influx of students attending University of South Carolina, as well as the military with Fort Jackson and Shaw Air Force Base. High rates of migration as well as median age in Horry, Georgetown, and Jasper, Beaufort counties indicate migration for retirement to the coastal areas of South Carolina. On the right-hand side, the hospital service area map is about access to care. It shows parts of the state where general acute care hospitals are less accessible. These areas are predominantly rural and raise the question of what kinds of services provide enough access to healthcare. My agency is involved in some interagency workforce development initiatives. So RFA is used as the agency with all the data and analytical staff that are pulling, analyzing, and visualizing the data to drive discussion. So these maps are used to show other agencies what we can do with their data, which then drives opportunities. So overall, I try to take a show, not tell approach. Because other state agencies and businesses can request my services, I try to showcase products and services for agency leadership so they're better aware of possible revenue streams. But if you want to know a little bit more about what I do and what this is about, I left my name, email, and a QR code to my program. So, check it out and you can reach out anytime if you want to know more. And we do data warehouse requests for people all over the country. If they're doing a study that might have a cohort in South Carolina, we get those requests like all the time. So if it involves GIS, that would be me. So a lot of the times it's like data linkage, and then I might do geocoding and network analysis and provide my results. But I'll wrap it up there and try and address some questions later. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah, these maps are really great looking. So nice
Yeah.
work. Awesome. Yeah, next up we have Anna. And so Anna is an award-winning cartographer and owner of Four Corners Mapping since 2019. Her work reflects her belief in the power and impact of beautiful maps to advocate meaningful environmental causes and the protection of the natural world. and she combines analytical precision with carefully crafted elements of design to provide context, invite inquiry, and distill the unique story of the place. So let me share my screen again. Sorry, one sec.
Sorry about this. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And you should enter a presenter view.
Okay, can everyone see?
Yeah, it looks great.
All right, cool. Thanks. I love that last presentation. There was just one slide. That's so smart. That's what I should have done. My name's Anna Reiling, and thank you for the introduction. I am the owner of Four Corners Mapping in Durango, Colorado. It's a small cartography company, and I'm the only person that works here in my basement. um, I literally did this presentation last minute in Canva like an hour ago because I thought you'd want to look at something other than my face. So here we go. um, so this lightning talk will explore some of the questions that I ask clients when they approach me for a custom map project. By clarifying goals and audience and constraints, it helps me to define the project scope and the client expectations and help to deliver a more accurate bid. My caveat is that I don't have any formal business training, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I never set out to be an entrepreneur. It just seemed the easiest path to get to where I wanted to go, which was making pretty maps. So in the end, if you have other questions that you ask your clients before starting a project, I'd love to hear those too. Okay, next slide. So one of the first questions that I start out with is, who is your audience? I ask the client to think about ages, technical prowess, and tolerance for technology and apps if we're going that route. Will it be used by the public or will it be for internal stakeholders? All of the above. Are there language barriers? Does it need to be bilingual? Are there accessibility concerns like visual deficiencies and impairments? If it's an app, will it be primarily used on a desktop or mobile or both? If it does need to be bilingual, does the client have a translator on staff or work with a translator, or would I need to work that into the bid? Okay, next slide. I asked the client, what is the purpose of the map or app? And I keep saying map or app because I do both. So some questions obviously are more pertinent to if it's an application versus a hard copy map. But everything has a purpose, or it should. So I asked what the purpose is. What do you hope the audience takes away? What do you want them to remember? How do you want them to use it? What features do you want the map to show? These are a lot of questions all lumped together, but they're kind of covered by the umbrella question of what is the purpose. So you want to think about the final deliverable. If it's a trail map, it's going to be possibly folded and stuffed in a pocket. So does it need to be durable? If it's an app, what functionality do you want it to have? For instance, finding the user's location, exporting a PDF, measuring, viewing graphs and charts, that kind of thing. If it's a story map, what is your call to action? There should be a definitive and explicit call to action, both literally as a button, because people like pushing buttons, but also echoed throughout the piece. And I think that you can make that argument for any map that is effective, is that it has a call to action embedded in its purpose. Okay, next. What is the timeline? This is a pretty basic one, but sometimes I forget to ask. So when do we start? When does it need to be done by? What are some internal milestones? You know, some clients say, I don't need it until the end of the summer, but then I get to work on it and oh, all of a sudden they have a internal meeting that they need it for in a month, and can we have a draft? So those kind of milestones are really good to know right up front. And then when I'm bidding, in the time when I'm bidding, I work the timeline into the project, but I'm very careful not to say this will be done by, because a lot of times it really depends on working with the client to get data and information from them. Okay, next slide. What is your budget? Another obvious one. I think I can count on one hand the number of times a client has told me what they're going to pay me, or what their max budget is. I love it when that happens. But it's always good to, if I don't get an answer, at least to get them thinking about it. And if they have a range, or if they'd be able to accept a bid with a range, meaning, and I stole this from Ali Olivier, that you can offer a range of cost estimates based on the addition or removal of services. Yeah. And do you have the money in hand? That's another one, because sometimes I might start a project with a client who's still going after the funding, and that's not a good position to be in. This is a really, really important one. I asked the client to share examples of their work, whether it's apps or maps that they like. This is perhaps the most direct line to getting the client the product that they want. I've had clients contact me because they've seen my posts on LinkedIn, and they say, this is the map that I saw is the map I want. I want that style. And that's really helpful. Or if they describe something to me, I send them some examples. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And that's really helpful, because you both can describe something, but you're not maybe visualizing it the same way. So it's really helpful to have concrete evidence. Next slide. What media assets does the client have? So this would be photos, interviews, illustrations, video, audio. Is it copyrighted? Is it free for me to use? How would you like it used in the map? Is it going to be, is it going to be media heavy if it's an app? Or is it just going to be used as a banner image? Things like that. Do I need to read transcripts of interviews to pull quotes out? I've done that. It's laborious. And in addition to media assets, what other assets do you have? So documents, mission statement and values, tabular data, reports, graphs. Is there copy that needs to go into the map or app? Is that written? Do I need to write it? Do I need to edit it? I recently did a story map where I took an 18-page single space Word document. That's all they had, lots of bullet points, and turned that into a story map. And that took a while. Okay, thank you. And then what spatial data do you have? What geospatial assets do you have? So KMZs, shape files, geodatabase, aerial imagery, elevation data, proprietary data that the client has that they would like in the map or app. What data would need to be converted to spatial data? If there's a PDF or a map image or CAD or something that I need to, georeference or fiddle with to get it into a GIS, that's I need to know that up front, because that's time consuming. I just created an app where the client gave me a Word document with like 50 different stream segments with start and end points in narrative form. And I had to pull those out and make that into, turn that into spatial data. So it's good to know how long those things are going to take up front. I'm not sure what I spend more time on, curating GIS data or moving labels around the map. Okay, next one. And then branding, does the client have a brand kit that they would like the map to use? That would be palette, typography, icons, logos, just the general look and feel. If they don't have a brand kit, do they have preferred, do they, from those examples, do they have a preference for, if it's serif, sans serif, bright and bold, soft and muted, that kind of thing. If the client does have a brand kit, it usually makes it easier and quicker on me. And it is fun to work with someone else's brand kit and to work that into my project or my process. But if they don't, I like that too, because it means I get to be creative and explore themes to match the project. Okay. I'm not even sure how many minutes that was. But that's it. That's all I've got. I do have so many questions, so many more on my website. I do have that page on my website so that I can point a client there when they reach out before our initial conversation to get them thinking ahead of time. So with that, I'll just ask if you have any questions for me, and ask if you have any questions that you might add.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anna. We're gonna save all the questions till the end once everyone's done presenting. But thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, next we have Bianca. I'm not sure if she is here. Sorry, scrolling through everyone's name. Okay, it doesn't look like it, so we can go to May. Looks like you're already sharing your screen, which is awesome. And so May is a senior geospatial data scientist specializing in water science, GIS, and AI-driven environmental analytics. With over 8 years of experience, she's led geospatial projects that integrate AI models and GIS to enhance water resource management, urban planning, and sustainability. And her expertise spans remote sensing, hydrological modeling, and cloud-based geospatial analysis.
Okay, sorry. Hi. Sorry, my network went off at some point. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the effect of urbanization on stream flow in Piedmont streams. Piedmont streams, I'm talking about Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. And basically, I am going to be looking at how urbanization has transformed stream flow in Piedmont streams. And my focus is on hydrological changes in the past, the present, and how GIS has played a role in mitigating these effects. This is one of the things I'm actually doing a research review for. So if you look at these diagrams here, you see from then to now, GIS has really changed from, it has basically been instrumental in tracking landscape changes over time. And again, the Piedmont stretches from New Jersey to Alabama. We have Georgia there. And is also a transitioning zone between Atlantic Plain and the few Blue Ridge Mountains. And again, I want to say that GIS-based reconstruction has really helped us look at how the past, let's say from post-World War II, pre-1920s, to how it has changed now. And again, if you look at the third slide is really looking at how urbanization impact has affected stream flow. And the thing is that high peak discharge responses causes more frequent urban flooding. And GIS basically can help us quantify and visualize these changes. There have been studies by Johnson in 2019, and where he used models like saltwater assessment and using LiDAR-based model to identify erosion-prone areas. And there have been different trends in literature, basically from the pre-1920s, where there was limited research on urban hydrology, till now. GIS studies really went into effect in 2000, where GIS integrated with remote sensing and hydrological modeling tools, maybe mud flow. And right now, modern GIS is really taking taking the space. And basically, the advancement in GIS is in integrating spatial data and hydrological data to improve decision making. And if you look at the current thoughts and future trends, urbanization has really altered Piedmont streams, and GIS is really playing a big role, basically in mapping out risk zone, analyzing pollutant pathways, and developing adaptive management strategies in various in non-profit organization, water planning, resource planning. And again, there have been various mitigation strategies in using GIS and also in modern GIS, like in there have been GIS-based stormwater simulation, which helps in optimizing drainage placement, and also GIS-based heat maps to identify high-impact zones for implementation. And another thing is that GIS basically helps model the effectiveness of street planning. Some of all this data can be accessed on USGS. They are open source data. And GIS basically can also help in the assessment of climate mitigation. And Francis et al. Did a study on that in 2024. And right now, remote sensing is actually helping to evaluate restoration efforts. So these are some of like my references that I got from. And again, I want to also mention that basically their long-term studies are limited, especially on climate change. And there should be more interdisciplinary collaboration in terms of looking at how GIS can be used in hydrology, ecology, and urban planning. And GIS will really continue to be a cornerstone for water management in real-time monitoring, predictive modeling, and AI-driven analytics. And emerging technologies such as machine learning and high-resolution remote sensing can develop even more effective water management strategies. That's about my reference.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was super interesting. And then,
If anyone have questions, I'll answer after. Thank you.
yeah, feel free to keep putting questions in the chat, everybody, and we can go through them at the end. And then just last up, we have Alexandria. And so Alexandria is a GIS analyst with a background in urban planning who's done work for the state of Texas, local nonprofits, political campaigns, and FANG companies. And she uses her subject matter expertise and technical abilities to solve large long-term problems faced by society. And whenever you're ready, you can share your screen.
Of course. Let me just make sure it should be. Hi. So this is a very much a work in progress, but I had when I was world building a urban fantasy version of Austin, I decided that I wanted to use this as a template for the like various GIS projects and like that I wanted to work on, both in terms of like a lot of the data transformation. Here I've like created a custom base map georeferenced from images that I had drawn a few years ago. And on top of that, I had converted a metro driven map to a KML, and then from there to a feature class, and then populated the data and have it on an ArcGIS web page. My larger plan is to take this data and to turn it into a general transit feeds specification compatible data to actually provide real-time directions within this system. This was partially just simply a project that I wanted to do for fun, but I feel like this also has I think I'll see what sort of implement applications is available, but that's pretty much all. I was encouraged to, and I was actually, I think her name was Rachel. Yeah, she encouraged me to present at this, but no, I really want to when I come back next time, I really want to have more of the show. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandria. Yeah, I mean, now that we're at the Q&A portion, I do have a question for you. Just curious, like, what kind of like inspired you to create this? Is it like a passion project, just something you've been working on for a while, or just curious
Eh,
about that?
yes, it's a passion project. And part of it was that like there were various like like versions of this that like I wanted to have a broad like a sort of sense of consistency. Like this is like a very expansive system, which would indicate a much larger city. But like, is that like what I want to go for? Anyway, so I more just see that this, yeah, this is very much a passion project done for fun and like my own like desire to know things.
Oh, yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone else have questions? Let me just
Yeah,
look at.
also, if anyone has a question, feel free to just unmute yourself as well, if you are comfortable doing so.
This is Anna. I do have a question. I love transit maps. How do you handle the coincident lines?
The coincidence lines, is that where um I know about like let's see, is it
Like the lines that are the same routes where, Route 1 and Route 2 follow the same route. I can see here the yellow and the orange, you have them parallel. I just wondered how you handled that.
oh in terms of it's just about like the data side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, this is because it's physically two separate lines. If we're talking about, for example, where this purple line, the M4 and the S4, and on like these three ones, and within Metro Dreaming's like data set, I do believe that they combine it all like all the lines into one. When this was exported, it was individual like polylines that were on top of each other. I did notice this because it gets in the way of symbology, representation. I think that what I think I want to do is be able to take somehow is be able to like within the data like change it to or like to include like multiple like I don't know like represent that there are like multiple lines on one like polyline feature like multiple services. How to do that is something I need to look up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I have a question actually for Rachel. I'm like a new user of Adobe for mapping. I'm just curious if you have any advice on how to get better at it or how to navigate the millions of tools that they have in there and just anything about your like kind of workflow of how you use it.
Sure. Good question. Um, Adobe is kind of nebulous, as you alluded to, and often if you get it, they will give you Adobe Creative Cloud, CC or whatever. And when you get that, it basically comes with all of the Adobe programs, and then you can figure out which apps you want to install. So when I say I'm using Adobe for those maps you saw today, I'm using Adobe Illustrator specifically, which is for vector graphic design. So Photoshop is another commonly used one for raster, and both programs have a little overlap with one another. So I do a lot of vector GIS, so I am often using Illustrator. And I think to other people, like if you have wrapped your head around Illustrator, you know what I mean. Like coming from GIS is quite fun. I see it as it's kind of similar to ArcMap or ArcPro in that it has a layers panel and stuff, but it's no longer connected to data. So I tend to move to Illustrator when the data is set and there's no longer any GIS analysis moving things around in geographic space that I need to do so that everything becomes artwork. And the way I usually do this is now there is a Maps for Adobe plugin that Esri makes. And if you have Adobe Creative Cloud and ArcGIS, it's a free plugin. So you have to track the versions of Pro and Illustrator because sometimes if they don't align, it won't work. But I have IT install a plugin for me, And this plugin allows you to export your maps in Pro to the AIX file format. And when you do that, then you can open an AIX file in Illustrator and go to town. If that doesn't work, just do PDF. It also generally works. It'll just be a little messier, I guess. But yeah, that's generally what I do. And there's so many tools in there that are really cool. I use it for a lot of layer effects. I like to make legends in Illustrator as opposed to ArcGIS because you can just go crazy. It's like convert to graphics in ArcGIS, but better. So I could talk all day about Adobe, so I'll stop there.
No, yeah, this is great information. Yeah, I've just started using Illustrator to kind of touch up my maps, and it's quite overwhelming.
Yeah, it took
So
me years.
lots to learn.
I learned on my own. Like I was given an assignment and the instructions said, now move to Illustrator. And I was like, ugh. Like it more like what you're describing. And just I picked it up over several years of just teaching myself.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Which
kind of going off that, I have another question for Anna. Your presentation in Canva was like beautiful. I'm just curious if you have any like graphic design background or if that's sort of a skill you've refined just from your like map making process.
I don't have a graphic design background. I have a geology background. I'm a licensed professional geologist and worked in geology in the field for 20 years. And the field work started getting to me. It started getting, I think the pivotal moment was when I was heading out to the field at 3 a.m. and it was 14 below. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop doing this. And so I went back to school for GIS and got my graduate certificate in GIS from University of Denver, and then eventually my master's. But I would say, you know, what really draws me obviously is the cartography side. And I do have, I am, I guess, an artist. So I have that in me. But no, I don't have any formal training, and anything that I've picked up, I've just picked up along the way. And I have tons and tons of reference books. And I just got, do you have this, Rachel?
no, I don't. What is that?
Oh, it's amazing. So I have lots and lots and lots of reference books, books on cartography, and whether it's just to get inspiration, or this also comes with the digital files, so that you can save time by not, reinventing the wheel and creating a whole, symbology. So
What's
yeah,
the
and
name of the
I
book?
follow a lot of people on LinkedIn and just get a lot of inspiration there. And yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, what was the book name that you just held up?
This is the Ultimate Symbol Collection. This is what the Park Service used to develop their symbology. I should actually get a finder's fee for doing this. I'm really excited because I just got this. So
I did want to chime in to build off of what Anna is saying about that book. A cartography book I use a lot is Cartographer's Toolkit. Have you heard of that one by Gretchen Peterson? So it's kind of like a handbook with bunches of color ramps and font suggestions and map composition types. It's got like RGB codes and hex values. So also
Cool.
that one. I wrote down the name of the book you mentioned though, so thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I'll put a link in the chat here.
Awesome.
Another question for you, Anna, that I had. I was also curious, like when people come to you like a potential client, what are kind of some like red flags or maybe things you look out for that signal that you maybe don't want to take on a project, or on the opposite, like green flags that are like excite you about kind of working with someone?
I'd say red flags would be more on my end, where I really, really value the cause, and I end up taking a hit because, like, intentionally. And I don't know if that's a red flag, but I do have a habit of maybe taking on projects that I'm not going to make money on because I really value the work of that the client is doing. But you know, a big red flag would be if a client has historically used volunteers to do their work. There's in my experience, there's a real gap in understanding of someone's time and how much time they're putting into a project. So I guess a green flag would be when there's a big pot of money and there's a defined goal, and the client is used to working with either me or another cartographer or GIS professional, and there's a sort of defined process there, and a defined, you know, path forward.
Cool, yeah, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I know I've been asking all of them, so I don't want to take
There
up all
have
the
been questions in the
questions.
chat.
Yeah, I saw you had answered some. Sorry, just trying to monitor.
I have a question if we're open to it.
Yeah, go
It's
for
on a
it.
slightly different topic. I guess I was curious on if any of you have ever done projects, and I guess working specifically with sharing them. So I guess what my context is I want to make a web app, but I want it to be public accessible, but for it to be password protected. So because like I think the client, like the people who would use it, they don't really want to set up an ArcGIS account type of thing or log in or anything. So is there a way to create a web app that, like, is it through experience builder, is this depend if you're using on like one of those quick app things, or I was just trying to think like what's the best like route to go down if I want to create some kind of web map that is public, has some interactivity, people can turn on different layers and whatnot, but like nothing like downloading the data or anything like that. But yeah, mostly having it be password protected. I don't know, is that possible? Have any of you ever done anything like that?
Are you saying you want it to be public, but you want it to be behind a paywall on some, or sorry, a password protected page on someone's website?
Um, yeah, password protected. I'm not sure if it would need to be on a different website. I don't know if Esri has like if that type of thing is possible to host through one of Esri's sites. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely got experience with building web map apps for clients. And the most recent one I did was for internal use. And so it wasn't shared publicly, so the public can't find it or use it because there's sensitive data in it. But it was shared to the organization, and it was shared in a group. And the organization set up partnered collaborations with other with all the stakeholders, ArcGIS Online organizations. So my organization, Four Corners Mapping, is a partner collaborator with this client, and I'm also a member of that group. So anything shared in that group, including the app, those partner collaborators will have access to. So that way you can control who has access. As far as it being a public app, that's the easiest thing that you can do. You just share everything with the publicly, all your layers, all your data, everything. You just set the sharing to public.
Would everybody in that group need to have a Adobe, or sorry, not Adobe, an Esri license?
An organizational account, yes.
Yeah, so we have an organizational account. Okay, so for some context, I'm working in local governance and creating like a utility network map. And there'd be two versions of it, where like the general utility map, we want to be open to the public and anybody can see, no password protection. But then for some things where it's more like sensitive information about our utility network, we only want our public works department to have. And so we were thinking of like, is there a way to create a separate web map that has more detailed information, but it's just password protected, so that only people in public works can see that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw there was a response from Jamie in the chat saying she created an experience builder and then created a single viewer account for the client to use.
Oh, okay, and then just shared that single viewer information with the public works department or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'll look into that single viewer. Okay. Thank you.
So I had another question for May this time. I know in your bio you said you focus a lot on like using AI in environmental analysis. Just curious if you could like expand on that a little bit more. I know AI is like the latest thing, so just curious to hear more about how you use that in your work.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so for me, I use AI basically for I'm still trying to, because new things are coming up every day and things
Yeah.
are changing. But I know that there was a time we had to work with a non-profit organization, and it was basically using AI to analyze satellites, I think satellite and area imaging, basically such as forests, wetlands, and coral reefs. And also I've used it for water quality analysis. Basically, AI processes data from I think from sensors in water bodies just to detect like lead contaminations, and also for land use changes. So that's some ways that I've used AI.
Cool.
Basically,
Yeah.
of like let's say writing a machine learning algorithm like regression analysis, and using LiDAR or satellite imaging using AI. Yes. And AI is really like it's a game changer. Basically, there's so much coming up, there's so much to learn. I just signed up for a class on IBM. Basically on I think AI engineering, something like that. I just signed up sometime this morning, but I've not gone in depth. And AI can really be used in environmental analysis, and basically helps for faster and accurate complex environmental problems. Yes, and
Yeah, feel free to share the link to the course. I know maybe
yeah,
others would be interested.
yeah, I'll share the links because
Any other questions from anybody? Okay. Hearing none, I will just put this back up. So thank you everyone for attending. This was a great discussion and super interesting presentations from all four of you. So thank you guys for presenting. And yeah, all the recordings are on the YouTube channel. And then next month, GIS in action again. And that will be on March 7th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. But thank you, everybody.
I share the course.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. See you next month.
Thank you.